as demonstrated by this guy who attacked the Hitman at a special event, or this guy who blindsided Randy Orton after a match. WWE fans occasionally act out of character during wrestling contests. The man who attempted to assault Mrs. McMahon during a WWE match, what about him? While some supporters are permanently banned for participating in these matches, it seems that the excitement of the wrestlers during a match inspires others to do likewise. Let's begin with the situation with Roman Reigns. It all happened in August 2015 at a WWE house show in Victoria, British Columbia. Roman Reigns, a 6-time world champion and the longest reigning Universal Champion in history, was competing against Bray Wyatt, a late 3-time world champion. The next event was a briefcase that unexpectedly flew into the ring and struck Reigns in the head. It turns out that a certain 31-year-old enthusiast owned the briefcase. According to later police investigations, several spectators saw this man carrying a phony sort of challenged him to throw the money in the bank briefcase into the ring. Roman Reigns was struck in the head by the briefcase he flung, and it struck him hard. Bray Wyatt exhibited some concern as the officials and referees hurried to Reigns' aid, but he didn't try to take advantage of the fallen fighter. However, Roman is a fairly powerful man, and he managed to stand up again and carry on the battle. I was confused at first. I thought Bray hit me in the head with the kendo stick. So immediately I was like, "Man, you're about to get it? Brother, you're about to get your butt whooped," he said later, expressing his concern. But then I looked down and I saw the briefcase. So then I'm trying to piece this thing together. Reigns was still gracious enough to decide against filing charges against the offender, but that doesn't mean the guy went to jail. The fan who threw the briefcase went unpunished. In fact, according to Victoria Police spokesman Sergeant Brian Edwards, he was banned from all WWE events for life. Next up is a fan who came and gave Shippo Sakabe, the wrestler, a blow. During a WWE tour of South Africa, Randy Orton was facing Big E Langston at the Grand West Arena in Cape Town, South Africa. Orton was on fire, and he quickly knocked Langston out with an RKO, and the match was over. Orton likes to climb the ropes with his arms raised in victory, but one fan wasn't happy, so the fan leapt. The railing went into the ring and blindsided Orton with an uppercut right in the groin, which hurt, even though it was a multiple-time heavyweight champion. The fan got charged to court where he pleaded guilty, not like he had much of a choice, and was ordered to either pay a fine of 500 rands or serve 30 days in jail. He also ended up getting served with a 3-year suspended sentence and was banned from the rest of WWE's live events. And some would even say that's a let-off, don't you think? Tiny plot twist here is that it was later revealed that the intruder was a 20-year-old independent wrestler named Shippo Sakabe, who was probably just looking to make a name for himself by getting on the biggest wrestling stage in the world. In the end, his rashness ended up getting the entire nation of South Africa, Loki, blacklisted for any tour by the WWE until 5 years later. Up next is an even more brutal attack on Bret Hart by a fan, Zachary Madsen. Bret made his debut back in 1976 and spent about 5 decades competing at elite levels with the signature nickname the Hitman. The baffling attack didn't come during his prime or even during his later years in pro wrestling. The incident occurred during Bret Hart's induction into the WWE Hall of Fame at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, when a fan unexpectedly attacked him on camera while he was in the middle of his Hall of Fame speech. This fan actually had some skill in it, as evidenced by the fact that he managed to get past WWE ringside security guards, tackle the Hitman, and throw a few punches before being restrained. Additionally, after he was restrained and rightfully arrested, some information surfaced that essentially explains why he's that handy. The perpetrator was a 26-year-old man named Zachary Madsen, who was charged with 1 count of 3-order, criminal trespassing, 2 counts of 3-order assault, and interfering in a sports event. Banned from every WWE event, but he also faced a full year in jail. Up next is a case of not just one fan invading a wrestling match, but 5 to 6 fans doing just that, troll station members. Back in April 2015, during a taping of WWE SmackDown in London, England, in a tag team match that pitted John Cena and Daniel Bryan against Antonio Chero and Tyson Kidd. Daniel Bryan fans would remember this match because it ended up being his first retirement before he came back 3 years later. It's wild how a retirement match for one of the biggest names in the WWE at the time, featuring such an elite cast, still got all the attention taken away by 5 random dudes. Maybe not random though, since the 5 guys turned out to be members of a prank YouTube channel called Troll Station. The group suddenly ran into the ring while the match was ongoing and tried to have a feel of what it felt like to be a WWE wrestler. One managed to hit another with a pretty impressive rock bottom, while another pair fought with the referees trying to break it up while the 4 actual wrestlers just stood around watching. We security guards were eventually able to pin down the pranksters and bundle them out of the arena. The bunch definitely got some sort of ban and punishment for their invasion, with the group taking full responsibility, but they did still upload the video online though, so they clearly weren't feeling too remorseful. On the bright side, they didn't come in with malicious intentions, and even the wrestlers appeared to have enjoyed it all. Up next is a fan whose attack on a wrestler could have had a terrible turnout if the wrestler had not responded quickly. Fan knocks Guerrero off the ladder. In May 2002, Rob Van Dam was relatively new in the WWE at the time, but he was taking on late WWE star Eddie Guerrero in a WWE Raw ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Given how wildly exciting that match was, it's no surprise that some of the fans would have wanted in on the action, and one particular guy was ballsy enough to mack if this fan wasn't neutral. He was clearly an RVD fan, and he couldn't sit back and let his hero lose. So, as Guerrero climbed the ladder to retrieve the belt, this guy came in wearing and pushed the ladder from underneath Guerrero. Luckily, Guerrero was a skilled enough martial artist, so instead of running out or giving up, he put up his fists in preparation for a fight, and if we're being honest, that would have been a sight to behold. However, the referee had had enough, and he tackled the guy from behind to get him out of the ring, but Guerrero was still able to get a punch and kick out on the guy that almost ended his season. We can't be sure what this fan had in mind. Perhaps he just wanted to give her a hug, or perhaps Linda had once rejected his advances, but whatever the case may have been, all we know is that this fan had jumped the barricade and was heading towards Mrs. McMahon. Triple H rescues Mrs. McMahon. WWE legend and 14-time world champion Triple H back when he was known as Hunter Helmsley in another episode of Raw in 2000. Of course, the fan received a lifetime ban. The relationship he currently has with the McMahons back then, but to him, it didn't really matter. When he saw that Mrs. McMahon was about to be attacked, he went all out to jump on the fan and hold him until security arrived to take him away. The fact that this incident was captured on live television left both Junior and Jerry the King Lawler speechless, but kudos to Triple H and Linda, who were able to brush it off and return to their normal selves almost immediately. It was a matchup of giants, and this was Steve Austin at his best. He had just defeated Shawn Michaels for the WWE title, and he was up against one of the most skilled and talented future megastars. Triple H. The match had gone on and on until, almost as soon as he recorded another victory, a fan jumped the barricade and rushed Austin. The plot twist was that instead of going into full defensive mode, a 250 lb Triple H, who wasn't having any of this unruly German staying in character, responded by giving the fan a suplex. Triple H didn't stop there. He kept hitting the already flattened Invader until security removed him from the ring. Referee Mike Chota even got some kicks in on the poor fan. The Shield vs. Wyatt family match was a WWE Night of Champions pay-per-view in September 2015. And Dean Ambrose was with Reigns as they waited for Chris Jericho to be introduced as their surprise tag team partner. The three of them were scheduled to face the Wyatt family, and any sane wrestling fan would know that's the cast for a possible bloodbath. Apparently, one fan didn't get the memo or thought his team needed some help because he suddenly jumped into the ring in support of the Shield, wearing something very similar to that of the former Shield members. It was more like Shield Assembler, but none of the wrestlers on the roster for the six-man tag team match wanted him there. The fan had his brief moment of living the dream, standing right next to Reigns and Ambrose, even staring Reigns in the face, but that was it. Security swiftly caught up to him and bundled him out of the arena. At least he got some encouraging comments from a YouTube commenter who wrote, "The fan who blended in as one of the Shield was hilarious as fuck." Later, it was revealed that the fan was a certain Shield-crazed 37-year-old man named Oscar Ramirez. However, no one thought his spontaneous appearance was Oscar-worthy, and he ended up not only getting banned, but also being sentenced to 10 days in jail on charges of trespassing. The next one concerns a former member of Shield, the Dean Ambrose incident. As we've seen, and as we'll see later, fans love to play with the Shield. In 2015, while walking the aisle at the SmackDown taping at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island, a fan rushed towards Dean Ambrose, who was shaking fans by the side as he was leaving the arena. The issue was that Ambrose had his back to the fan dot, and he might have been caught off guard. Fortunately, a security guard managed to tackle the fan down. The fan was holding something, and if security hadn't been doing their job, things could have gone horribly wrong. The next event was at an NXT Live event. In 2017, the Undisputed Era faced off against the team of Heavy Machinery and Cassius Ohno, and a fan decided to make himself famous this time, running in on the black and gold brand. Kyle O'Reilly wasn't putting up with idiots that night, and he easily defeated the fan by kicking him in the face before security removed him. The Undisputed Era then defeated Heavy Machinery and Cassius Ohno to end an exciting evening and declare that The Undertaker was to blame for the death of his parents, making Bearer even more despised than when he betrayed the dead man by siding with Mankind. One fan appeared intent on punishing Bearer, as he discovered during a Raw episode when she attacked him from below. The young fan grabbed at his feet, causing him to lose his balance and fall on the protective maps outside the ring. WWE Access event. WWE Fan Access allows people to have a close-up look at the company, but in 2015, one fan went too far. The other WWE fans were extremely worried about the man's safety, but fortunately that didn't happen, but the fans' fan access was revoked. The next one is a case where a fan was expelled for an equally strange reason. The fan impersonated a police officer. Now, the reason this fan was expelled was just plain strange. At WrestleMania 39, which was held over a weekend of intense wrestling action, Kevin Huntsberger, a fan who chose to pay tribute to the Big Boss Man by cosplaying as the iconic character, had an unexpected turn of events. His costume was a faithful recreation, complete with a Georgia Sheriff's Department patch, which was an essential component of the Big Boss Man's iconic outfit. On the first night of WrestleMania, Huntsberger's cosplay went smoothly, enabling him to partake in the celebrations with other fans dressed as their favorite WWE superstars. But on the second night, he was confronted by security guards at SoFi Stadium, who said that his costume was too realistic and could be confused for an actual law enforcement officer, which is a serious concern at public events. Huntsberger tried to explain the nature of his cosplay and even removed the controversial patch, but the security guard was unmoved. The situation escalated to the point where Huntsberger was asked to leave the stadium, and other fans stood up for him, trying to explain that he was posing as a Hall of Famer rather than a real police officer, but their efforts were unsuccessful. Huntsberger eventually complied with the security guard's request and left the stadium. I guess he didn't deserve to be banned from the venue, and there is a very good reason why. A fan attempted to touch Sasha Banks' backside as she was crossing the barricade, and the fan was banned from WWE shows for life. The incident at WWE Clash of Champions, in which a fan tried to inappropriately touch her, sparked an immediate legal response. Following the event, the WWE security team and local law enforcement were quick to address the situation, removing the fan in question from the venue, demonstrating WWE's zero-tolerance policy towards such behavior. Sasha Banks' tweet announcing her intention to sue served as a stern warning that the company and its performers would take all necessary steps to protect their performers and uphold the law. The next one is a little amusing. A fan runs across the ring. The WWE has seen its share of strange and unexpected incidents, but few could match the incident's audacity. This strange incident, which involved a fan dressed as a Red Power Ranger, happened during a WWE live show in Newcastle, England, and it was a spectacle that would become a talking point for both fans and security personnel. On that fateful night, the arena was pulsating with the energy of thousands of fans eagerly anticipating the next match, and the superstars were ready to show off their athleticism and charisma, but they had no idea that the evening's entertainment would include an unplanned performance by a member of the audience. As the lights danced and the music blared, a fan wearing the iconic Red Power Ranger costume jumped over the barricade and took to the ring, running around it with a gusto that matched the energy of the event itself. Soon, there was a flurry of cheers and jeers, and the fan, who seemed to be enjoying the attention, continued his spontaneous lap of the ring. The security team, caught off guard by the sudden run, hurried to stop the ring-running escapade, and the fan was quickly escorted out of the arena, ending his brief moment of fame. In 2018, WWE was still very big on Roman Reigns and wanted fans to like him, but this only made people hate Roman more, and they made sure to inform WWE of this. During one episode of Raw, a fan gave Roman Reigns the finger and crotch chops, which was apparently too much, and the arena security kicked the man out. As he was leaving, it looked like the man said something to another fan, causing them to get into a scuffle. Luckily, nothing serious happened, and the anti-Roman Reigns fan had to make do with giving crotch chops from his TV. Delay at WrestleMania 37. The road to WrestleMania 37 was paved with anticipation as fans from across the globe eagerly awaited the return of the grandest stage in professional wrestling. After a year of empty arenas and virtual audiences, the promise of live cheers and palpable excitement had the wrestling community buzzing with enthusiasm. Dark clouds gathered ominously overhead, and a sense of unease began to spread through the crowd. Whispers turned to concern as the first drops of rain fell, and what started as a light shower soon became a heavy downpour. The bad weather arrived uninvited, threatening to delay the event. One fan was not happy about this and started going on a rampage in the stadium. WWE had cardboard cutouts tune a 205 Live episode. Kalisto was attacked by a fan who was so angry that he began tearing them apart. When he and Grand Metalik faced off against Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher, the match ended in disqualification because Kendrick and Gallagher broke the rules and began beating up both loose shotters. But fortunately for Kalisto, someone else had it out for him. The impact was immediate and shocking, and the crowd's excitement turned to worrying as Kalisto clutched his face, the pain visible even behind his mask. The show, which is known for its scripted drama, was suddenly overshadowed by a real-life emergency? Fans who had been cheering moments earlier were now quiet, a collective guilt hanging in the air for the act of one of their own. Fortunately, the fan was found and ejected from the arena. In 2017, a fan decided to use his voice and Brada, signed to a SmackDown event that read, "JBL bullied me." Either the man refused to give up his sign, or WWE didn't give him a choice because the fan was ejected. JBL is a WWE Hall of Fame superstar, a former world champion in the company, and was a member of one of the most popular tag teams of the Attitude Era in the Acolytes APA. Also has a reputation as one of the biggest bullies in the industry. The extent of his bullying is still up for debate, with many wrestlers claiming that he was a relentless bully who even drove one of WWE's best commentators out of the company. Others argue that he did nothing worse than anyone else he came up with during the Attitude Era, but should that even excuse his alleged actions in WWE? The final one involves a fan attacking a wrestler. During a live episode of Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins attacked Finn Balor, and the two got into a fight. Rollins defeated Finn and was about to end it there. In a moment that would soon go viral, a fan later identified as 24-year-old Eliza Spencer broke free from the spectator area and charged at Rollins, tackling him to the ground with a startling burst of speed. The scene was one of complete shock. A fan had crossed the sacred line between WWE performers and the audience, transforming a planned event into a real-life altercation. The attack was quick and violent, and Spencer, driven by unidentified motivations, had gotten past security and completely caught Rollins off guard. The WWE Universe watched in disbelief as the two men fell to the ground, with Spencer trying to wrestle Rollins in a way that was reminiscent of the action that had just taken place in the ring. In addition to being expelled from the building, the man was arrested and charged with multiple offenses for the attack.